Test one. Test 1 2. Test 1 2. Test 1 2. Your speaker on? Test 1 2. Can you hear me? All right, everybody, we're here with Captain Jason Pearson from the Winter Garden Police Department. I hope you're having a good time. Jason, can you hear me okay?
A little bit. It's in and out, man. It's kind of low.
All right. Well, we got to work that out, right? We don't want to have a problem with our sound, that's for sure. So can you hear me okay?
I just got to sit close to the phone. I don't know how well you can hear me.
Well, yeah, I bet you have your speaker not turned on. I bet you if you turn your speaker on, then it'll be fixed. Test 1 2. Test 1 2.
It's up as loud as I can get out of it.
Okay. Do you want to get headphones? We were doing good with our sound just a minute ago. What happened?
No, I don't know.
We went in and out of. We missed our time going live, folks, and Facebook said smack on our face, and we weren't able to get out. So we got some folks that are joining on. If you're on board with us, say hi. Yeah, hey, Joe's there with us, and he says welcome. Joe's my partner, Jason. Joe and I started this Heroes Live. And Heroes I Know back about a year ago. I started doing interviews like this back in 2016. But now, it's gotten a lot more formal, and we're able to actually like get a guest like you to come on and hang out, and it's really good. Here's a Sergeant Major buddy of mine, Sergeant Major Ross, Command Sergeant Major. He's agreed already to be a guest on, so he's jumped on already. Thanks, Sergeant Major. Good to see you. I love you. It'll be great hanging out with you. So we're here with Jason Pearson. We were just listening to Turn You On, by almost weekend as we came on live here. We're supported by formerforce.com. That's me and Joe Benson. You saw him waving on the screen a while ago. But we put the coins in the boxes and do all the stuff to get it together and try to make a package so that your kids and grandkids and your cousins and aunts and stuff will want, right? With a little coin and our memories on the thumb drive. So that this video that we're making right now will be recorded, and those that love you, Jason, can, they can watch it a long time after we're gone. They might not ever watch it, but maybe they will, right? There are people that are watching right now that love you and are so glad that you're on here. You're a hero of mine. We met back when I was selling body armor, and you were one of my funnest accounts to go hang out with. I really enjoyed that. Where are you from originally, Jason?
I was born in Owensboro, Kentucky, and I lived there until probably about 7. I was about 7 years old, and my mother moved us all here. So.
Oh wow! So what was like early life? From birth to 7. Do you remember much of it?
Yeah, we were poor, very, very, very poor. Outdoor plumbing kind of thing. A lot of us lived in the house. My mom had kids prior to meeting my dad. My dad had kids prior to meeting, and of course they had kids together. So at one point there were 13 of us. In the house. It was kind of like the Waltons, but much smaller house. And,
wow!
Go ahead.
Was it a big house or a small house?
No. It was a small house. Our attic eventually got renovated into rooms where my dad put plyboard down. We had no AC or heat. Our heat was our fireplace in the wintertime, and AC was just open the windows. That's just kind of how it was, and a lot of what we did was just we had a farm, grew a lot of our own food and everything else with the chickens and cows, and he would buy some livestock periodically just to sell to try and make profit, and he was a traveling uniform salesman, so he went around a couple of different states there doing that. But yeah, I mean, that's, my mom worked, she'd do field work, tobacco stuff and strip tobacco and stuff like that. And and we just just made do. I never knew what I didn't have until I saw everything I'd never had. If that makes sense,
I mean, right? Yeah, that's the way it works. That's what year were you born?
71, yeah, 1971.
Oh, okay, so it's like, yeah, I
Yeah,
was born in '68, so you're like, we're the kind of the same
yeah,
generation.
we're right there.
Did you do good in school? Were you good at schoolwork and stuff?
No, no, I was I was a kid that was diagnosed with ADHD early, but that's when ADHD really wasn't a thing. It was just hyperactivity, and my mom refused to do anything about it. She just said I would learn, and eventually I did, but it wasn't until my 20s before I really learned how to control stuff. But yeah, I was quite the mayhem in a classroom, and mainly I was just bored. I was just bored. I wanted to do something to stimulate me, and what they were doing, me sitting still, wasn't one of them. you know, so
Oh yeah, right, right. Do you
but
remember a particular time you got in trouble?
oh, I was always in trouble. If there was a kid with the name on the board, it was me.
Something just
Oh,
happened. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
that's right. But no, if anyone got in trouble in the classroom, it was me. Either
Really?
talking, disrupting. Yeah, I just wasn't that student until really until I got out of high school. Once I started paying for my own college, and then that's when it made more sense. I had to get better grades because it was costing me money.
Hey, that's
So,
right.
but
There,
yeah, no, I was through my antics, I was delayed in graduating high school. By summer, I just needed some extra credits because I was just having a good time. Living my high school years like it was college. And that's just not how that works. so
that was back in the time. So we had a generation that was ahead of us that could start drinking at age 18, and then
yes,
we were the generation that we were the new ones under the 21 age group,
yep,
and it caused us a problem. But our many of our friends and our friends could get whatever we wanted.
yep,
So it wasn't like it was a problem. It wasn't like it stopped you from getting much or whatever.
yeah,
Oh my gosh, crazy times, right? There's no cell phones back then.
no,
Driving willy nilly, gas was cheap for the most part, and
yep.
wow, great times. And so you were in Central Florida during that time, in the Central Florida area. Is that right? When you went to high school?
Yeah, yeah. We moved here. I was in third grade, and we moved to East Orange County, and or East Orlando, East Orange County area, and started third grade there. Went through the Union Park. Then it was junior high school. Now it's middle school, and went to Colonial High School. That is out there near Cimarron and Colonial Drive. And if anyone's familiar with the Orlando area, so and I just did what everyone else did, so to speak. I didn't pay attention in school. It was just about trying to find the girls and date the girls and meet the girls and have a good time doing it. And it's just how it went. Got in a lot of fights, way too many fights than I should have. That's just how it was. And probably I'll tell you and well, during this, I'm going to tell you, I'm probably going to get emotional. So,
Yeah.
um, like now, um, but no, it's I got out of high school and I had a choice, man. Do right or straighten up, and I thought the best thing was join the army. So I went to the army, and it damn sure helped. That was a game changer for me, going to basic training with all my piss and vinegar I had. And I joined during Desert Storm, and I initially went in thinking I was going to go off to war, and I was in the frame of mind that let's go off and defend the country and kill people and blow shit up and all that stuff. And kind of the atypical stuff of I went in the recruiting office, and that's when everyone was in there, all the branches. Now they're kind of select, I believe. I went in. The Army was the first one to me, offered me a $5,000 signing bonus. I had bills I was behind on, so it all just worked. And, of course, I kept thinking, well, that'll help me. I always knew I wanted to be in law enforcement. So I'm thinking at least it'll help me get that way. And it did. But then got stationed in Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri for basic training. And went up there, and it was nice. It was through the summertime, just in the fall. So it was nice. I left before it started snowing and getting all nasty. Never left stateside. Stayed here as a weekend warrior. And but yeah, that's kind of where I got to that point. But yeah, and then it was shortly after all that's when I met my wife. So it's been a long time.
Tell me about the desire to raise your hand and say, okay, I'll serve the country, I'll serve my country, I'll give my life in their defense. Was that something you took in stride, or something you prayed about, or something that was no big deal to you, or something that was a long discussion? What was it? What was that like?
Yeah, this is going to sound very cliche, but when I was a little kid, we're talking 74, 75-ish, maybe into 76. I had the G.I. Joe doll. And I just thought G.I. Joe was, he was the man, and everything. And that's when I knew I was wanting to be a soldier. I always played stick wars. I remember low crawling through the fields and acting like I was in war, as a little kid, all the way up through junior high school and high school. We never, like most of us probably here, we didn't have paintballs. So we had BB gun wars. If you had a pump, you could only one pump. But of course, off in the distance, you hear that guy clack, 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 put 4, 5, 10 things in it. So that's just how it went. So you had to hide a little better from those jerks. But no, it's, all kinds of stuff like that. We dug holes. We did, got platforms from old construction sites and where we could pop out on people and everything. And then, of course, right around that time then was Red Dawn came out. So we're watching Red Dawn, and, me and my buddies, and we're like, we've been doing this for like 3, 4, 5 years, just playing. Who knew? So of course that kind of ramped it up anyway. But it was all that is what made me get ready. I had a phase in there where I was pretty sure I was a martial arts ninja. I had a ninja suit and shit. So I started learning concealment, how to work shadows and stuff like that. I'm I don't know, 12, 13, 14, 15, man. I just, goofy stuff. But it's crazy because when I went away we started doing some of the drills and different stuff, some of that and dark, and how to look and stuff like that. So I've always been a very proud American. So it just kind of just, it just seems like it was part of me, and that's what I was supposed to do.
Amen, amen, amen. Well, I'm here, everybody, with Captain Jason Pearson of the Winter Garden Police Department. We're having a little bit of connectivity issues. I'm going to take us and let's watch this. Let's watch this slideshow I put together for us. Have you seen it yet? You've seen it already, haven't you? Here we go. There's his wife, Patty.
I hope you don't mind if I say that I love you, 'cause there's so many ways that I want to carve out our names, board a last minute plane, just us two. We can chase the sun as it sets in the mountains, find luck like a bet in Greek fountains, or lay lazy in bed with your head on my chest. I hope you don't mind if If I say that I love you, every day another I do, 'cause you know I do, I do.
That's actually a good friend of ours.
I do. I hope you can hear every note that my heart sings, like a choir of bells, how they all ring. Oh, can't you tell, neath the timpani swells and heartstrings, there's a place deep in our hearts where it matters. We can stay there forever and after, written in stars right above where we are. I hope you don't mind if I say that I love you, every day another I do, 'cause you know I do, I do, I do.
Dude, I love you, man. I'm so excited to get to hang out with you. Let me take an opportunity to talk about our donors here. Add Kobos, Arnie Kobos, to the list of master-rated donors, everybody. Yay! We give Arnie Kobos a big hand. We got Williams, Jackman, Calderon, Evans, master-rated donors. Our senior donors, Newton, Diaz, Shrumman, Fernandez, and, of course, our basic donors there. You can see this. Heroes Live, Heroes I Know, Marshall in the Middle, formerforce.com is all supported by you. It's all me and this guy. Where's he at? Joe Benson. Where's he at? Joe Benson. What's up, Dimps? Look at there. We've got Command Sergeant Major Paul Albright says airborne all the way, everybody. Hey, Sergeant Major Albright, I love you, buddy. Thanks for coming and hanging out with us. We really appreciate it. And I think Craig D. Evans was on. At least he was talking about Craig D., my other great buddy of mine. Craig D. Evans was my first soldier, Joe. It was my first soldier, Jason. It was crazy, right?
Wow.
You know, to have my first soldier still hanging around and stuff. So
that's awesome.
So yeah, everybody, I'm here with Jason Pearson, Captain Jason Pearson from the Winter Garden Police Department. Thanks for hanging out. I met Jason, I don't know, maybe almost 10 years ago, 10 years ago when I was selling body armor. He was ahead of the curve. He was and part of an agency that was ahead of a curve from a police chief. You still got the same police chief that was ahead of the curve? Still same chief there? Yeah.
No, we have got a new chief. Guess about 3 years ago now. About 3 to 4 years ish ago. Chief Brennan retired.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So they had a department that was progressive. They had purchased armor for their doors, and the best body armor. I'm in. Were you a lieutenant then, or a captain? Maybe you were a sergeant. I think you were a sergeant.
No, I was an officer then.
Oh,
I didn't make sergeant until 2009. So it might have been right as I made sergeant.
Yeah, it was right in that time. Basically, he said, what's the best and most wearable, most protective thing that my guys and gals can wear? And I said this, and he said, can you make that comfortable enough for us to wear it? I said, yes. He goes, okay, there we go. And we did, right? We put his package together, and we had great wearability. We had protection. We knew that we were doing the best for our officers, and that was cool. You had door armor. You trained. I mean, nobody trained more than this guy in his department. So tell me about going into law enforcement. I don't want to skip over the Army, but talk to me about going into law enforcement real quick.
Well, I mean, it was I started at state corrections, and I did 6 years with Florida State Corrections. I put myself through the Corrections Academy, paid for that myself, and then I during that time, probably about the 5 year mark, I knew corrections wasn't going to be my thing. I wanted to get on the road. Um, so I put myself through the dual certification academy, and I went through that, spoke with my colonel at the prison, let him know. He was awesome. He worked with me to let me do shifts I needed to work in order to get through it and complete. And then once I did that, I transferred from a prison over on the east coast of Florida to basically one on the west coast of Florida. And then that's when I moved where I'm at now, Claremont, Florida. And I met Deputy Chief at Winter Garden, John Johnson, when I was taking classes at Valencia Community College. So, and that's kind of where it started. And then that's been 22 years and about 2.5, 3 months ago. So it's been, yeah, I got less than 3 years left and I can retire, have my 25. So
That's amazing, right?
Yeah.
It has to kind of, as you look at it, it's got to be a kind of a crazy ride of ups and downs. One of the things that you never know at any moment is what's going to happen, right? A gunman can show up downtown Winter Garden any minute, and your whole world's going to change, like right now, you know.
Yeah.
And it's that way for your whole adult life, right? At least for me in the Army, when I was in the Army, I pretty much, if I wasn't deployed, I knew ahead of time. They're like, hey, go get on the airplane. You're going to go kill somebody and break something. It's like, oh, we're going to know ahead of time. But
Right.
as a law enforcement guy, especially these days, Jason, you go out in public in that uniform, and in a way, you're a target,
Yeah.
unfortunately,
Yeah.
right? Unfortunately, right? You know, look, my buddy Craig says, stay safe, you know.
Thank
It's
you, sir.
dangerous out there,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
It's dangerous out there. Tell me about dealing with that danger. How do you deal with that? Is that something you think about? Is that something you just deliberately put out of your mind?
I don't know if it's a deliberate thing, you know, maybe, and I didn't realize it until you just said it, that pretty much my whole adult life, I'm trying to think, I was 23 when I started corrections. So, and I'm 51 now. So I've pretty much my entire adult life lived in for the most part, a threat-based environment for my waking hours. You know, you figure an 80-hour week or a standard work year, 2,080 hours a year, I've been in a threat-based environment, whether it's at the prison or on the road. So now, it's nice. I'm in an office, but, I'm not that typical admin. I listen to my radio, and if something hot comes out, I'm in it. We just had a pursuit in our city the other day, and I mean, I was right out there with the guys and tracking and looking for bad guys, and we were able to get them all. But I'm in the office, but I'm not an office guy,
Right.
and I don't know. I guess you just do it.
Yeah, you do. You get used to it, and you don't even realize it.
Yeah, there's no real on switch, off switch. It's just it. Something happens, you got to act. You act. That's just what you do, and then later you kind of walk off, and
Yeah, absolutely. You're definitely a hero. I'm here with Captain Jason Pearson from the Winter Garden Police Department. If you're on the chat, say hi, everybody, to Captain Jason Pearson. We love you. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. He is one of the things that he did when I met is he taught classes. He was teaching pursuit classes. Remember that? You were chasing people down the street.
Yeah.
Tell me about that, man. Tell me again about those foot pursuit, because you don't think that much about it, right? Teaching cops how to chase down the bad guys.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's a big part of it, and there are so many tactics in it. So I just grabbed it and put it all together, and it's from the initial contact through the person runs to stopping, setting perimeter, canine starting point, getting a helicopter activated, all this stuff. It got to the point where one of the local agencies actually stole my program so they could teach their officers. And it was a large agency, so they didn't have to send them to the Criminal Justice Institute to my class. They started it at their agency. So it's kind of like, hey, that made me feel good. But then it's like, you stole my stuff, you know?
Yeah, oh man.
But yeah, I mean, I covered all of it, even into the stuff of, oftentimes, especially with new officers, they understand someone runs, they chase them. Okay, well, what happens when you catch them? Then when you catch them, and then so I covered all the dynamics. I just in my head broke it down of all the foot pursuits I've been in and what I've learned from it and added to it. I've been blessed at my agency. They've given me tons of training from weapons to hand-to-hand stuff. And it was all those things that I just kind of put together, from, and here's something you'll dig this, Will. How many officers I taught how to properly wear their vest? They didn't know.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They're wearing that booger too tight. They can't breathe, can't expand the diaphragm. I'd adjust them. They ran better. Everything got better that way, So it's things that I just learned over the years. I just put together to make it work for them. It's just I was just the guy that got it together. But how to set up their car, the easiest way to get in and out of the car, bailing out of the car, how to position, when you run, even if you can overtake them, I explain the action and reaction. You don't want to be right up on their ass because they can stop and they know what they're fixing to do. You don't. So you leave that reactionary gap so you can get to one of your tools if you have to. Unless you have ample assistance and help. So it was just something that's really cool. I really enjoyed it. We used the obstacle course out there. How many people that couldn't get over a 8-foot block wall that by the end of my class, they were able to get over the wall. And it builds their confidence. So it's kind of like, like the old school confidence course thing too. Teaching them some ground fighting stuff, weapon defense, holster defense, cuffing stuff. No, it was just cool, and it was a 4-day class. It was 32 hours. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. And I haven't done it in probably 2 years now, just because of my schedule. Just where I'm at and everything I'm doing, it's kind of hard to do it. But yeah, it's a good time, and all of them very appreciative. And yeah, it was just good stuff. Just trying to, as the more in the quicker amount of time, the better you're going to get that much quicker. And some of these new guys, they just wouldn't get it. And once you can slow them down to learn the job and understand that they need to focus on getting home, not catching the bad guy every time. And one of my things was, in the foot pursuit or any pursuit, what's the goal? And they're like, to catch the bad guy. No. It's to get the bad guy caught. So if I can chase them to corral them, to get them to a point, and then the dogs come in and bite them, I don't have to catch them. In a pursuit, I don't have to be the one to pit them. But as a team and effort together, the bad guys get caught, then it's a win, and we all go home safe. And if we have to approach, we have ample amount of firepower with us when we do, So, and it's really instructing that kind of stuff. And, it was always cool with them anyway, because, I was a sergeant or lieutenant. Haven't done it as a rank of a captain yet, but that speaks volumes when they see that ranking individual out there with them and doing stuff. And that's what I try and project to my guys, man. They know that if there's a fight and I'm there, they're probably going to be behind me because I'm already in that shit. So.
No, I can't imagine you getting in a fight. I'm sure you would have to stand aside, right? I can't imagine. Oh my gosh. Hey everybody, I'm here live with Captain Jason Pearson. I'm so glad he's here. Hey, Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central, the Zoom Room Hangout number 13. It's Cold Steel Night. Get with Mario Ramirez for details. Not Mario Ramirez, Mario Ramirez. It's Mario Ramirez. He says I can say the name the way I want to, damn it. So it's Mario Ramirez. So get with him. He's a paratrooper buddy of mine, Jason, and so you should come hang out with us Wednesday night. Come to hang out in the Facebook Live, and but we'll be hanging out there at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central there on Wednesday for the Zoom Room Hangout. I'm here with Captain Jason Pearson. We're going to play this or that. Let's play a little theme music in for our this or that. Here we go. See how this works. Here we go.
Pop, ready, press. 10 minutes. Check equipment. Sound up for equipment. Check.
This is the 82nd Airborne Division Chorus, everybody. The entrance chant. We're getting ready to play this or that with Captain Jason Pearson. Here we go, all the way with Captain Jason Pearson here. We're having a good time. This or that. Okay, here's what the deal is, okay? It's a game. You get choices. You get to pick a choice. And either you get like points for the choice or you don't. And it doesn't really matter either way. But if you win, then you get a prize. The prize is whatever you want within reason. I have to decide what's reasonable. Okay, so there you go. All right, so it's this or that, everybody. We're here with Captain Jason Pearson. All right, here we go. First, this or that for you. I had to do a special one. Smith & Wesson or Ruger?
I guess Smith & Wesson.
All right. Hawk or owl?
Hawk.
Thunderbirds or Blue Angels?
Thunderbirds.
Oh, okay. Why you choose the Thunderbirds over the Blue Angels?
I'm old school, man. That was the first group I ever saw were Thunderbirds.
I love it. Okay, pumps or flats?
Pumps.
Okay, all right. 89 in a 70 or 49 in a 35?
89 and a 70.
Sunrise or sunset?
That's a tough one because you're blessed to see either one of them. I say sunset.
Amen. And the last question. Looks like Jason's going to win this game. Last question. Here we go, Jason. Yellow light. Stop or go?
Go faster.
There you go. This or that, everybody. Jason Pearson's a winner on This or That on Heroes Live. Thanks for hanging out with us, Jason, and playing This or That. We heard it. The law enforcement officer said, we got it live at the yellow light. You go faster. So that's what you got to do. If he pulls you over, you say, hey, look, Jason said, and there you go. So thanks, everybody. It's This or That. Give him a big hand, everybody. Yay! All right. So we were talking about fights earlier. Have you been in a fight?
Like ever?
Yeah. Like tell me about a fight. Tell me about a fight. Tell me about a fight when you weren't a cop. Like when you were just a regular person. Like
I can't tell. I can't tell all those, man.
No, just one of them.
Well, I'll tell you this. The first time I got in a good fist fight, I was in third grade.
Oh.
Third grade. That was also the first time I'd ever kicked anyone in the face. Yeah, in third grade. I'm not saying that as being proud. That's just when it happened.
Amen.
I grew up in a rougher neighborhood. I had these guys in my neighborhood that, my next door neighbors were twins, and they were 3 years older than me, but the same size. But they're still 3 years stronger. And they had a friend of theirs that I'm saying every day, sometimes 2 or 3 times a day, I had to fight those guys to get to and from home. And I had older brothers, but my older brothers wouldn't do anything because we were all the same size.
Oh,
and
wow.
I couldn't convince them that these jokers are still 3 years older than me. They're just my size, Oh, wow. So, but no, learn that they were the reasons too that I said, back then you didn't have where you could go and Google or watch videos. And I went and bought went to a library and checked out some martial arts books and reading how different martial arts moves. And I would try to use them when I fought those guys. and they worked. I mean, that's just what it was. But yeah, and then just just growing up from that point on. I mean, it's just what you did. If someone disrespected you, you fought them. There was no talking, there was no communicating. You there was just time to, whether you got off the school bus, you met in the parking lot by the high school, or behind the portables at the school or playground, whatever. That's just what we did. And I probably lost as many as I won. But I didn't care. I didn't care. I wanted to. If you wanted to fight, I'd fight you. There were times I got in fights and I had no plan to fight. I had no urge to fight. The guy, that just happened. I got into right around that time, before I met my wife. I got into boxing and kickboxing, and went all around the state of Florida doing that. And I did it just because I could fight and not get in trouble. I wasn't, like I said, if I were good at it, I wouldn't have been a cop. I'd be making millions doing it, right? In the movies or something. But I mean, there were times, man, I'd be sitting ringside to watch a fight, and the promoter come over because he knew me. Says, "Hey, I had a fighter bail out. Will you fill in?" And I'm like, "I'm in jeans and I'm here to watch it." And he goes, "I'll get all the gear you need if you'll do it." Okay. So I'm opening, I can't, half dozen or better mouthpieces straight out of the packet, cut the corner off, not shaped, and that was my mouthpiece. And I got this guy's foot gear, that guy's headgear, this guy's this, and go in and fight. And the other thing, he said, "Well, it won't count against your record either." And I didn't care. It was just about fighting. That was just my release. But yeah, it just, I don't know. I mean, when I went to basic training and stuff too, what kept me from fighting there was I didn't know any better, but the Article 15, and this can happen and that can happen. And all I kept thinking then is when I started rationalizing more about my actions. It's like, well, shit, if I get in a fight in here, that's going to totally screw the whole point I'm here, because I can't have these marks against me trying to go into law enforcement and stuff. So that was a very maturing time for me too. But yeah, I mean, as far as fights growing up, man, holy smokes, tons of them.
Really? Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, my nose, I hardly breathe through my nose because it got broke so many times. And, it's just part of it, getting black eyes or busted face. It's just, part of it.
Oh, wow. We're here with Captain Jason Pearson, everybody. He's telling us about fighting and and roughhousing and learning and growing up in the 80s, Let's see, you graduated 89, 88,
Yeah.
89?
Yeah, 89, 90, 89,
90? Oh, that's great. That's great. Great times, right?
And I had two older brothers, they weren't gentle with me. They were older brothers, so that's just how it went. I had to learn my ways. So, which is pretty cool now, because I'd whoop the shit out of either one of them. So,
so you described a big family. Are you guys still close? Are you close with certain ones? Are y'all? Tell me about how the family. Tell me about that.
Well, the dynamics of that. I mean, we moved down here. We left Kentucky. God, I was probably 6 or 7 years old, and my mom moved down here with 7 kids. Single mom, came down here. This is where her family was at. Best thing she ever did, because I definitely wouldn't be where I'm at today without her and everything she's done and did. But they, the family up there stayed up there. I went and visited my dad, and I would see that side of the family every once in a while. My older brother lives close by. And he's still over by East Orange County, so him and I are really close. He's my best friend. And then my other brother's in New York. Him and his wife live in the Catskills. They're both opera singers. My other brother sings with the Metropolitan Opera. And
that's awesome.
Going on probably 30 years, man. That's pretty cool. I see him on TV and stuff. Went to see his performances. It's really neat.
Oh, I want to interview him. Have him, can we do that? Can you sponsor him? Would you like to hear his story?
It's possible. It's
Yeah.
just trying to get a good time for him because I never knew how much they worked. But when they're not rehearsing, they're sleeping or they're rehearsing or performing. That's I don't know how he's done it this long, man. It is
Wow.
nuts, nuts. I mean, we rarely talk on the phone because there's just not that time. But there's times quick texts back and forth, with technology and stuff. But yeah, and then my other family, I mean, we just kind of drifted apart. Life just kind of took us our own way. And my mom passed away a couple of weeks ago.
Oh no.
So yeah, so
What tell me about your mom as your hero. Tell me about how heroic she was to you. Can you tell me that?
don't make me cry.
Yeah, and I'm sorry to make you cry, but one of the interesting things about those tears is they're so cleansing, and they're so honest and refreshing. I'm a crier, dude. I promise I'm a crier, right? And especially if it's so fresh, it's just
Yeah.
happened, and I'm sorry about that.
No,
But
no, it's she's I tell you, man, my hard headedness, my perseverance, my dedication, my loyalty, um, my orneriness, and my not putting up with anyone's bullshit. 100% my mom.
oh yeah,
100%, man. I, quick story. You're gonna think, man, this guy all he ever did was fight growing up. But I got in a fight with this kid, and I went home and I told my mom, I'm like, hey, I got in a fight, and I whipped his ass pretty bad, mom. I whipped his ass. Well, what'd he do? Well, I said he kept hitting me with shit on the school bus, and I jumped up, pinned him down the seat, and just started beating the shit out of him. And she says, she goes, all right, well, basically no big deal. And I hear boom, 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 just knock at the door. My mom opens the door and I peek out and there's that kid and his mom. And goes on to say she's telling my mom how I beat up her kid and da 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 and all this stuff. And my mom listened for a minute and pauses, points at her, says, I tell you what, you get your ass off my porch or I'm fixing to whip your ass worse than my son did your son. And I was like, holy shit. So it's kind of, you just don't put up with bullshit, man. I mean, she raised 7 kids. She worked 2, 3 jobs. I mean, she made life happen, She was
amen.
awesome.
Amen. Yeah, amen. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for
Yeah.
sharing. Yeah. Yeah. So, as we think of the legacy that we live day to day, right?
Right.
And she lives in you, right? Her legacy lives
Yeah.
through you and the others around her. Are there those that look to you for guidance? That you are a leader to. Who's your team that you're currently leading? Do you have a team of folks that look to you for daily scope and direction?
I would say it's kind of all over the board. I have people at work, people in personal life. Um, every Wednesday night, every Wednesday evening, I've done this for probably 8 or 9 years, off and on, depending shift. I have I just started calling it Fight Night, and it's a kickboxing that I do in my garage here. I have all the equipment, the bags, weights, all that stuff. And of recent, there's been several people that sparked interest in powerlifting. And I started powerlifting about 3.5 years ago, 4 years ago, and started competing last year. And so now on Monday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, I have people coming over to teach them powerlifting and get them better on their lifts. I've worked with people's kids that were playing football and stuff to give them strengthening things and everything. And I don't charge anyone. Just come over and I'll show you what I know. And do my best to make you faster, stronger, whatever the case may be. Along with giving a couple of the younger ones guidance on college classes and courses, because I sucked as a student academically coming up through high school. Started at Valencia Community College. Winter Garden total reimbursement for degrees up through a master's. I have my master's degree in criminal justice. Got 2 other specialized certificates from UCF due to the level of difficulty of the classes I took, and with leadership in law enforcement and executive management class degrees. And so it's kind of cool, talking. I kind of skipped around here a little bit, but I would say there definitely people are out there, and there's several that I may not talk to for a year or two, but they know they can call me, and I'm there, and that means a lot.
Amen. 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 That's for sure. Yeah. That's for sure. Hey, Penny says she's a former law enforcement officer too, but also a lawyer, and she says yellow light means go like hell. So she agrees with you. She agrees with you. We got an audience out there. Captain Pearson from Winter Garden, Florida. Yeah, we're hanging out here, having a good old time. He played this or that. He chose a Hawk Over the Isle and the Thunderbirds. The Pump, and an 89 and a 70 versus 49 and a 35. Tell me about that. Why did you choose 89 and a 70?
Are you ready?
Yeah.
89 and a 70, you're on the highway. The other way, you're probably in a residential area.
Right.
A lot more hazards in that residential area speed than what you're going to get on the highway.
So you're going to pull the guy over in the residential area. Is that what you're saying? Or that's the worst one? Oh, that's what I figured. All right. Yeah. All right. Sounds good. Sounds good. So tell me about how you met that beautiful love of your life there. Tell me about that story.
It's really crazy, man, because we went unknowingly. We went to junior high school around each other. We went to high school around each other. Never met, which was the best thing that could have been then anyway. I knew her ex. I actually knew, but I never knew her. It was weird. Her ex was a friend of a friend of a friend. So I'd been around him a couple different times, but I met her. She had a friend that was interested in my roommate. So they hooked up, and then we were kind of like their connections. I don't even know how it actually got to that point. It was crazy. And then they didn't work out. So then it was me and her, and we kept talking. She was played softball all the time. She was phenomenal in softball. She really could have and should have went way higher in her level. She's very athletic. And I was doing my kickboxing stuff. So she had a time when she went to field she was in outfield, went to field a fly ball, and it was nighttime. Light got in her eye, it hit her, and it actually broke the bone of her face. Well, she didn't want me to see her like that. Okay. Well, right around that same time, I got my nose broke. So both my eyes were black. The whites were red. I mean, it was a good knee to the nose. So, but anyway, and then we just started talking and chatting, started dating. And then, let's see, this past February was 27 years of marriage and 30 years together. So at 21 is when I started seeing her and dating. And then, like I said, in 1995 is when we got married. And it's just been, I look back and it's just flown by, man. I can't say, we've been there for each other through our ups and downs. And, it's just, and now we're getting a little closer to retirement and, and just kind of living life, man. It's awesome, and to be married, we were just talking about it the other day. I'm like, we've been together for 30 years, that just blows my mind, but I couldn't imagine doing it with anyone else.
Yeah. Right.
She's a true trooper. When you asked earlier about in law enforcement, what thinking about stuff, like me coming home. That's one of the reasons I make sure I come home. Biggest reason, main reason. Um, but, try and do this without getting emotional. Um, my success is because of her. Um, she always supported me. Um, there through the tough calls.
Yeah. Yeah.
Late hours, call outs. I mean, for the last probably 10, 11 years, I've been in an on-call rotation. We get shot, people shot going out, cops, shot going out. I get called middle of the night, stuff happening. And she's always just rolled with the punches, man. I mean, she's served it with me. So,
Amen.
but
Amen. So tell me about some of those tough calls. Tell me about situations maybe that you found yourself in that maybe are humorous or sad or something like that.
well, there's so many, and the level of, it's not just the fear of the crime or the call I'm on. It's what the call is. I can't tell you how many suicide calls I've been on. Those are tough. Because families around, they're crying, they don't understand why. Depending on how they did it, from people taking pills to carbon monoxide asphyxiation to just blowing their heads off, man. It's those are the tough calls, especially if someone's expressed a suicide intention, and now we have to get in the house and go in the house. So we don't know as we're going through, is this going to be a suicide by cop? Or what are we going to do? We have we don't know what we're fixing to see. So that in itself, and I mean, man, it's the unknown, but no matter what, it's going to be shitty. No matter what, it's going to be shitty. But as far as exciting ones and stuff like that, it's kind of in a cool kind of way. Is try and get my words together here. Now, and it's kind of cool. I've been on calls, and I have personnel tell me that they feel better and safer because I'm there. Just because of the training background, and not for a minute, not am I saying, haha, here I am, I'm Captain America, but most of them I've trained in the tactics that they use, so they know I know what the hell I'm going to do. I can give them decisive directions, and we're going to move that way. Different, pursuits. I don't know. I've probably been in at least 24 vehicle pursuits. The longest one I was in was just under 20 miles, and I was chasing 3 armed robbers. They just robbed a value pawn store, and I just happened to go the route to where I got behind them, and we hit the turnpike, and my car could not go any faster than what it was.
Wow.
I had a Crown Vic, and I felt it wanting to float and kind of start to shudder. And I looked down, I was doing 140 miles an hour behind them. Again, reactionary gap, I'm not up on them. They almost asked in the trooper, which was the best deal because now I have someone else with me. It was just me and them going down the roadway, down the turnpike, in and out of traffic. So then I had the trooper. Of course, trooper has his troopers, and when at the end of this crash, I said crash, as we got closer to a town here in Florida, Leesburg, they lost control, launched stuff over a hill. They hit a tree that was probably about 12 inches in diameter, and they were in a four-door Dodge Charger V6, and they hit that thing dead center. And it hit, and before the ass end of that car come down, the 3 of them were out running. So we get stopped, get out. I went in that morning at 6 in the morning. I didn't get home until ish around midnight. I was in better physical shape then as far as cardio, and the canines come out. I ran with the canines. I was everywhere with the shepherd, and then the shepherds got tired and they needed someone. I went back out with the bloodhounds. Unfortunately, we didn't get them that night, but our efforts pinned them down to where they hid in the swamp and all that stuff. So when they come out all muddy, we got phone calls. So we got 2 of them the next morning. So remember, we ain't always got to catch them. We just got to get them caught, So, but that was an effort between, it was Orange County, us, Leesburg, FHP. I mean, there were cops everywhere out there. But that was probably, and I'll tell you, I was driving, chasing this car, Will, and I'm holding the steering wheel, and I'm like, all at once, I just started going, whoa, yeah, whoa. I mean, I had to get it out, man. I was fixing to explode. And also running through my head is I was 48 years old. That's there, 48. The time I had in, all that stuff was the timeline of when cops died in the line of duty. And it was pursuits or felonious crimes of shooting. So I'm chasing 3 armed robbers in a high-speed pursuit. I have all the elements there other than I'm hoping my flat-top Crown Vic holds together for me, because she started shuddering and shaking. I had to throttle back a little bit because I was afraid of what might happen if I didn't, but still keep them in track. So, yeah, there's been a lot of crazy calls, training new recruits. One of the best things I used to love about having a new recruit is I could get out of the car in a foot pursuit faster because I wasn't driving the car. And then it was up to them to keep up with me and know where I was at to be ready to get me, So we'd pull up and I'd tell him how to get to a certain spot. And I'd tell him, listen, I'm going to do this and he's going to run out that way. Be ready. So I'd do it, boom, and then the foot pursuit's on. Other cars coming. And I tell you, there used to be this comforting feeling because when you're in the foot pursuit, there's a distinct sound that Crown Vic V8 makes as it's hauling ass towards you and coming. So the cavalry's there. You hear that whoa, whoa, whoa. And it's like, all right, I got more people with me as you're running through the yards and jumping fences. So it's really just been ups and downs, man. Going at 6 in the morning. There's, went in one morning at 6 a.m. and there's a guy in the house that broke into the house and was in the lady's bathroom. By the time we got there, we got her out. We go up through, me and the officers search, and he's under the comforter in the bed. I yanked the comforter off. There he is. I grab him, a little scuffle and get him down, get him secured and everything. I ain't even had my damn coffee. I'm like, whoo. I mean, so it's that, with the stuff you've done. And so it's that going from, I'm driving into work, thinking about the paperwork I'm going to do. And then before I even get halfway there, I'm lights and sirens, hauling ass to get to this call, setting perimeter, everything else, getting other, it was just, but it was like, hey, no time to slack, man. You got to wake up and it's go time. So it goes all over the board, man, with the different levels of calls of fear, and what sticks with you.
Yeah.
There's calls that I'll never forget, that'll always be there. So yeah, it's crazy. I think about it, damn near 23 years, a little over 22 years of it, and even when I was in the office during those times, I was always throwing on my cover vest, running down the stairs, getting in the car. And oftentimes I was the first or second, third officer on a shit show freaking scene to get into stuff, One of the last ones I got into, I grabbed hold of a guy, started wrestling with him. And I looked at, there was a trainer and his recruit coming up, and the recruit just kind of stood there. Excuse my French, but I looked right at him. I said, are you going to fucking do anything? And so he jumps in and we get done. And he comes up to me later and it's kind of funny. He says, I'm sorry. I didn't do anything. He says, I didn't know what to do. There was a captain there in the fight. Yeah. I'm like, if the captain's fighting, your ass is in it, man. If I'm there, it's all on me at that point. You got an open card. So, but yeah, it's just it's nuts, man. I mean, thank God I've never had to shoot anyone. Um, but I can't tell you the dozens of times I had pressure on the trigger and it was a millisecond off, and that's that escalation, de-escalation, and being able to notice and catch things. It's and that's craziness. When
Yeah.
you come home and one thing, and one of the classes I teach is I do a 40-hour. It's stress awareness and management for law enforcement, and I share a lot of my stories. And dude, I have my tissues ready because the ones I tell, I'll cry, but by that Friday, I have so many of them opening up and so many of them coming up to me and thanking me for the stories I shared and the similarities of what I experienced to what they experienced. And that's one thing I've learned over my years. There's no there's no situation that is 100% unique to just one person. There's something in that battle or struggle that you got through that can help someone get through theirs. So so I share these stories with them, and one of the things I tell them is to talk, because so many of them go home and they don't talk to their spouse about their day. And I'm like, you can't expect them to ever understand you and understand what you deal with if you don't talk to them about it. You have to, you got to do it. You have to. And that's, I'll say that's helped me with Patty so much over the years and we know, like, she knows that if I get to a point where she's got enough, she kind of, because I don't tell her things to put her in fear. I don't want her to, she's already got enough fear of me going to work every day as it is. But I share stories with her, but it helps me get it out and release it. And it also gives her an understanding of when I do come home and I'm like, hey, it was just it's a shit call. But we'll talk later, just not right now, and it's cool. I don't come home and just get away. My out is my weight training. My weight training stuff I do, helping other people. I mean, that's my vice, man. That's how I get through it.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
I
but
totally
yeah, good
get
stuff,
it.
though.
Tell me a little bit about your weight training and the kind of that weightlifting and stuff. Tell me about that. How how you find such pleasure in it. And I do too, by the way. I don't, not like you, but yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, man. When I was, and again, these little cliche things, but when I was 13, I mowed a yard so I could buy my first Muscle and Fitness magazine.
I love it. I
So
love it. Yeah.
I mowed the yard, got the magazine, started looking through it. What started me working out is I was born with a deformity in my chest, to where the middle part stuck out, the bone.
Okay.
And my friends and my buddies, then they used to call me Bird because of my chest. And it's a bird chest. That's layman terms. There's some other long name to it. So I was looking push-ups. I was doing dips and trying to build my chest. And it just became part of my life of some level of fitness. Whether I was running, working out, stuff like that. I went through different phases of running, 5Ks. I was doing the Florida Police Olympics. I did that for, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years, doing multiple events in that, all physical kind of stuff. And then, I did the CrossFit thing for a couple of years, starting in 2013, did that, had fun with that. And then in 2017, I just started taking more of a liking to the powerlifting. And, that's the squats, bench, and deadlift. So I started at that, and I just I'm not pushing hard. I'm just taking things as it comes, as strength gets there. I could probably push a little harder to get stronger faster, but that's how you get hurt. And at 51, I don't want to be snapping things and breaking shit, So now I started competing. July of last year, I did my first competition, and the end of March will be my 6th competition that I've done, and I've done well. First or second place in all of them. I'm in a drug-free division. So that means like you can't have testosterone replacement, hormone adjustment, nothing. They test you. Granted, guys know how to do that up to the point and stop. So, and I eat, I take my protein and creatine, and that's the extent of any. Well, now my Advil and ibuprofen starting to come into play more now too. So,
So do you
but
feel 50? Do you feel 51 years old? I mean, you look great.
no, no, thank you. No, I don't, man, not at all. Um, no, I got a couple of young guys at work that I've worked out with a couple of times, and that was something too when you asked about people where I've had people at work come to me and ask me, about working with them on their form technique or and stuff like that, and I've done that for years with them. But yeah, as far as feeling 51, sometimes when I get up in the morning, I feel 51, but for the most part, I don't. I just, I really honestly, I try and set an example for the other officers, and the people I'm around that, in our line of work, we got to maintain a certain level of fitness. Am I going to get out there and run a mile fast? It's not going to happen. I can run a mile, but it ain't going to be fast. I had one of the young guys at work. He says, he goes, Cap, he goes, I'll bet you $100 I can run 3 miles faster than you. And I said, okay, I'll see that $100. I'll raise you 100. So we'll put $200 I'll give you. He goes, okay, I'm listening. And I said, we run 3 miles and then we see who can back squat 300 pounds the most after we're done running. And he goes, I can't squat it once. And I go, well, I can, so you would lose. Kind of thing. So I always volley shit back at him that way, like, well, you can run fast, but what are you running from? I don't need to run 3 miles. I need to run 100 yards from my car to get to someone, kind of thing. So it's always that cool little banter, Some of them get a little, some of these guys are just different coming up through now, they're a little softer, but no, the weight training stuff, man, has been, it's really been godsend for me, man. I was having issues with my low back and started doing things differently, working on mobility stuff and started lifting heavy things. And everyone kept saying, oh, you're going to hurt your back worse. Dude, I have zero back pain, but I focus so much on my technique and how I do things. And I'm very cautious on what I do to prevent injury, and I always heard, back squats and deadlifts, those kind of lifts, help with bone density. So the older you get and stuff like that. So, okay. Helps with testosterone. When I first started lifting, my testosterone was 480, which wasn't bad. They said it was in the parameters. It was just lower. And then when I went last and got tested, it was 520. So it increased that much on its own. So I'm curious to see this year, if I stabilized or what's happening. So there's that benefit of it, like I said, that's why when I see that, you're out running 2-3 miles or whatever, and I see your red lines everywhere you went, I just, I get up, I squat or do something heavy as hell, and I sit down for 5 minutes and get up and do it again.
I love it. Yeah. And everybody's got their things, right? Yeah. Everybody's got their things. That's for sure. Tell me, there's no atheist in foxholes, and you got to look to your buddy to your left and right many times when we're doing our operations. Tell me a little bit about your spirituality, if you don't mind. How does that manifest itself in your life?
I grew up. I remember as a little kid going to church. You had to dress up. It was Sunday best. You dress up, go to church, and it was a Southern Baptist church. I don't remember a lot about what was said, but I just remember the environment. This old white church. Just you picture that, and that's what it is. And when we moved down here with my mom, we went to church a couple of different times, and I was never really. I've always believed in God, but and I've told other people this, I just never knew how to be religious. Is that, you know, read the Bible, stuff like that. There was a time when, I used to say, you pray when you have absolutely no other option. So I always tried to find options so I didn't have to pray, because I felt like, I want to save those, I want to save those prayers. I don't want to use them on something that, it might be hard, but it's not that damn hard. You can get through this. I don't want a prayer, or if you just don't know what to do, and, but you start with the self-talk and stuff, and I, like I said, I do believe, but as far as, prayers for myself, I could probably count on my hand how many times I've prayed to make something for myself. But dozens and dozens of times I prayed for others.
Amen. Amen.
So.
Amen. It's even hard to bring things like this up, but look, there's no other profession that loses brothers like the law enforcement. Nobody loses brothers. Not even our soldiers lose like our law enforcement brothers lose. Yep. Tell me about losing your brothers. I know that we've had brothers of yours that have passed away in nearby agencies or that you've trained with. Tell me about that.
Well, for years I was on our honor guard, so we went to all the funerals, and I'll tell you, the sound of a weeping family member behind you as you fold a flag sucks. So I passed the torch on the honor guard. There's been locally here three or four deputies and officers that have died in the line of duty that I trained at the academy. That I went through training class or course with. It's just that piece of garbage that's on death row here now for murdering Deborah Clayton. Deborah Clayton and I sat at the same table in the leadership class. It was a 6-week course, and it was 1 week a month that we went through. I knew her. The young man that was out searching for the bad guy on the motorcycle, and he crashed and he got killed. I knew him from the academy. Both of them, man, you never saw these two and they didn't have a smile on their face. They were just always just, how you doing, happy, just genuine. There's another recruit I trained with was traffic, and they were trying to flag a speeder over, and instead of the speeder flagging over, he aimed his car at the deputy and hit and killed him. Another one was ambushed by a guy and shot and killed. I sit and think, and as I'm sitting here, I'm thinking of more and more. So it sucks when it's close to home, or if it's someone near you or someone that you knew, because you can. Yeah, it's just a different feeling, I try and learn from all the incidents that have taken them, so I can prevent it from happening to me, and also train and try and get it from happening to others. But you look back, and I forgot how many it was now, but last year I look back, because now on Officer Down Memorial page, you can see how many die each year, and what it is and everything. And I went back to when I started my career, and the first death was George DeSalvia with OPD. And just a couple of weeks later was an Officer Knight, and she died responding to help another officer, died in a crash. Those were the first two in my career that I dealt with. He was about the same age, started around the same time I did. He was just at OPD. And, but I did that span from, 1999 till last year. and it wasn't like it was a couple hundred, it was thousands that had died in that time. So when you look at, how many officers had died each year, to me, it's like you're just taking a bite out of the pie. But when you see the full thing, man, it's just like, holy cow. There's a lot of people who have died in this line of work, and even more so of recent years, when was that 2019, 2020, when things really started flipping for law enforcement. I live out in a rural area, but I took a different stance. There were guys at work that would leave their marked cars at work and drive their personal back and forth. I wasn't that guy. I parked my car. I even got a thin blue line flag and put it up below my American flag on my flagpole. I reached out to my neighbors and I said, hey, you guys see everything's going on with law enforcement. I'm asking for the extra eyes. And of course they all did, graciously. And to also keep an extra eye out for Patty, as she comes and goes and stuff. And it was cool because, we had a Ring doorbell, and it went off, and it was someone dropping off a package. And then it went off again, and it's my next door neighbor coming over to check to make sure everything was still cool. So I was like, that was awesome. But yeah, to lose the amount of people we have in this career, when I went into it, I knew it's not, usually if cops are on scene, it's because something bad happened. It's not like firefighters. They call a firefighter. They know a firefighter's coming there to help them. When they call us, that's not what's always going to happen, depending on what the call is. So it's a little bit different scale on the like the dislike thing. So, but yeah, it's tough to see people pass, especially the young ones, man. Being in this long, as a, shit at the 15 and 20 year mark, to see guys that were, and gals that were 1, 2, or 3 years in, and they lost their life. One young man who was ambushed by some teenagers right here in Windermere, 1 week before he died or was murdered, he was in my office. His chief had sent him to me to give him directions and guidance and pointers on doing background investigations for law enforcement applicants. So we sat and talked for, 2-3 hours, so I got to know him through that. And Robbie German is his name. Great young man, detective, beginning of his career, and his life was taken by a senseless act, to where these 2 teenagers, they were just runaways, man. And they ran away. I guess they thought it was going to get worse than that. They shot and killed him, went over and he shot the girlfriend and shot and killed himself. So they did a murder-suicide after killing him. It's those kind of things, It's like, just can't wrap your brain.
Yeah, it's just senseless, right? It just doesn't make sense. And so deep down inside, we have to realize that there's something, happening that we don't quite understand. Yeah. Otherwise, we get almost despondent sometimes. I'm here, everybody, with Captain Jason Pearson from the Winter Garden PD sharing with us. We're having a good time. He told us on This or That he liked the Smith & Wesson better than the Ruger. What's your brand of firearm? What sidearm do you carry? Glock?
Yes, Glock. Yeah, that's why it was hard to answer that question, because I really don't care for either one of them.
Yeah, that's why I asked that. That's why I ask it that way. If I ask, the easy ones, no.
Right. No, Glock, we've carried a Glock 40 caliber. I have my whole career at Winter Garden, and I'm a Glock guy. My other guns I carry, and they're like the tank, the Humvee of the gun industry. You can beat the shit out of them boogers, and they still fire, and they still work,
So they say the best gun control is proper aim, right, and trigger control. Tell me about your training, and you do JP Tactical, right?
Yeah. I mainly train civilians with it. I have trained a couple of people to get them ready for the police academy, so to make sure that they're on target. And it's the the difference is, when I started training as a firearms instructor, I was a police firearms instructor. When I started, you can't train civilians the same way you do cadets, So then I started thinking, is there really a reason to train either one of them differently? Because they're all still human, So what I did is I started training everyone like they were civilians, and it's really made a difference. And when I say civilians, it's just, I treat them at the skill set and the level that they are. I still push and stuff, but it's more of it's just a different style, versus barking at people. So, the JP Tactical has been fun. I started that in 2015. I've been doing concealed carry classes since 2008. And then in 2015, I did that because I'm, retirement. Maybe I'll do that more full time kind of thing. So that's where that is.
My buddy Doug Porch says Glocks always go bang. Yeah,
you ain't kidding.
Yeah. He says he carries the 26. I had a 26 for a while. I just gave that to my buddy, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
He's carrying it around, and my buddy Doug says, "Be safe, Captain." So
Awesome.
We got folks watching here with Captain Jason Pearson. We're live here on Heroes Live. Thanks for hanging out with us. We sure do appreciate it. We hope you're having a good time. Jason is going to tell us now something that we don't know about Jason. I don't know what it's going to be, but what is it that nobody knows about you that we're going to, when we hear it, we're going to be like, oh, wow, dude, that's cool.
Well, there's probably two things, but one of the things, for years, and most people don't know this, is I was a composite artist for my agency.
So what does that mean, a composite artist? Like you drew like character sketches of the bad guys?
Yeah, not really caricatures, but yeah, close.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. You're the sketch artist.
Yeah, sketch artist. So yeah, they would come in. I had a booklet, and they'd pick out the features, and it's recall and recognition. So I would put the puzzle together, so to speak, get to a certain point, and I'd show it to them, scale 1 to 10, 1 being nowhere close, 10 being, man, it's a portrait, which they're never 10s. If anyone tells you it's a 10, there's something cattywampus in their whole story anyway. So, but anyway, usually they say, it's a 6 or 7. Well, what can I do to make it better? And they'd say, well, the eyes were this, our nose was this. So I put it back down. I do a little bit more to it, show it again. And usually you want to end with the 8. If someone says, man, that's an 8, then you're doing pretty good. Through it, it's one of those things I kind of wish I would have done more with, because if I would have got one more conviction, because I had two arrests and convictions on my drawings where the people were identified. One was a robbery, and the other one was a vehicle burglary. So they were also felony crimes. And if I had one more, it would have made me a expert composite artist or expert. So I was like, God, if I only did one more. But what made me stop doing it is I developed tremors in my hands. So it made it hard for me to draw how I wanted to. And they just weren't, my quality of work just wasn't there.
Oh, wow.
So I had to get away from that. But yeah, composite artistry. And then the other thing here real quick is just before I went in basic training, I used to refinish pianos, and I was a piano mover.
Oh, I can see you as a piano mover.
Yeah, I was a lot skinnier then, though. But
yeah,
I used to refinish pianos. Someone bring in their old beat up, tethered, nasty looking piano, and I would refurbish it back to brand new, spraying the soundboard, the harp, all that stuff. I knew how to string them, but I never tuned them. I would have tore everything up then. But yeah, those two things are usually when people go, "You what?" kind of thing. So.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So, hey, I'm here live with Captain Pearson. We're going to start getting ready to kind of close it out. I think we've had a good time, right? It's been fun. Hopefully we've made a timeless broadcast, So let's think about it as we get out of this. Who's going to watch this? Who's your loved ones that maybe down the road will want to see this and and wanna inherit a coin, or is there anybody that you can think of that might be interested in things like that?
Yeah. My well, of course, I know my wife would want to see it, but also our niece and our recent I guess it would be my great niece and nephew. She had twins, and we kind of taken them on as grandparents, so to speak.
Yay!
We buy, whatever they have at their house, we have at our house, so they can come over and visit and not have to worry about loading stuff up. So definitely them, I could see that for sure.
Oh, that's great! Yay!
Yeah,
Yay!
for sure.
Yay! Yay. Well, I've had such a good time hanging out with you. I really, really appreciate it. I want to play our video one more time. Let's do it real quick. We got no reason we can't, right? We can do it. It's our show, everybody. We're
Right.
here with Captain Jason Pearson, everybody.
I hope you don't mind if I say that I love you, 'cause there's so many ways that I want to carve out our names, board a last minute plane, just us two. We can chase the sun as it sets in the mountains, find luck like a bet in Greek fountains, or lay lazy in bed with your head on my chest. I hope you don't mind if I say that I love you. Every day another high do, 'cause you know I do, I do, I do. I hope you can hear every note that my heart sings, like a choir of bells, how they all ring. Oh, can't you tell, neath the timpani swells and heartstrings, there's a place deep in our hearts where it matters. We can stay there forever and after, written in stars right above where we are. I hope you don't mind if I say that I love you.
That's my favorite picture right there.
Every day another high do, 'cause you know I do, I do, I do.
Captain Jason Pearson, everybody, hanging out with me here on Heroes Live. Thank you, sir. I've enjoyed it so much. Any
Yes.
chance that I could get you to give us a good hand salute and sign out for us here tonight?
Sign out.
Yeah. I'll give you the final word. Say anything you wanted to say, but at the end of the night, I've been having folks say, like call their unit to attention and then salute and sign out. Is that something you might be willing to do?
Well, I tell you what I'll do. I'll do this right here. I'll say thank you for everything you do and what you're doing, and thank you for the great posts. I'm seeing the messages as they pop up here, and may all of you be safe and be blessed. This is Jason Pearson. I'm out.
Oh, I love it, sir. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it so much. I love you. Bye-bye, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow night. We'll see you tomorrow night with Joseph Redmond, everybody. See you then. Bye-bye.
See ya.